To me, enough is enough. They just wanna hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. We won't let them hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. You won't bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. They just wanna. Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the queen of the indies, Tiffany, and I'm really excited. This has been a long time coming. I feel like I have this interview with our good friend, Nick Wayne. What is going on?
What's going on, y'all? How's your night going?
It's good. It's good. I'm so excited. So it's 5
I am
o'clock
very
there,
excited as well.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's 8
It is,
o'clock
yeah.
here in New York. It's 5 o'clock where you're at. So it's going to be a good old time. So,
Yes.
yay. So guys, if you're new here to the Under Rope series here, I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, promoters, referees, behind the stage, everything independent wrestling. I got you covered. If you guys got questions for Nick, feel free, drop them into the chat. He'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So I'm really excited. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of times when I do these interviews, people that I put onto this podcast, I support everybody that comes onto this podcast. And I've been talking about you for a while. And usually when I start talking about people, I was like, I got to get them on the podcast. And we met in person a couple of times. We met at GCW Emo Night. We also met in Atlantic City. So I've seen you around. So I'm very, very glad that you're here. And I've had a lot of fans come up to me and be like, when are you getting Nick Wayne on this podcast? So we're here. I got you guys. I'll listen to you guys, you know, in the chat. I see all your peeps. What's up, Captain Dave? What's up, Veronica? What's up, Dave? You guys are all great. Make sure you share the stream. I was gonna say screen, but yeah, share the stream so we can get some questions in here. So we're gonna start this off. You know, it's funny. I think I'm gonna start off with fan tweets with a couple, and then I have a whole bunch of other questions for you. But my best friend Brad, I figure his question was the best to start off this interview. So his question is, being that you're a third generation wrestler, was it always a given that you would get into the business, and were you pushed by your family to go in a different direction?
That's right. I did see that question. That was a good one. So kind of like growing up, my dad, also known as Buddy Wayne, and then my grandfather, known as Moondog Ed Moretti. My father had a wrestling school pretty much in my backyard, like my whole life growing up and stuff. And like I would go out there and I would watch the students and watch them train every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then consistently on in the house, we would always be like wrestling on the TV or wrestling on the computer. And I would always like, if he was sitting in a chair, I would sit on the arm of the chair watching the computer with him. So it's like my mind was always consistently looking at wrestling, whether it was in person or on a screen. So I kind of just naturally fell in love with it. But my family was always willing to just be supportive in me in like whatever I wanted to do, whether it was professional wrestling or some other type of art or anything really in life. They were supportive of me. But I think just naturally being around the sport so much, I just fell in love with it right from the jump. And consistently watching training every week, I eventually would start getting in there after class and doing what they did just on my own. You know, no one really no one really watched. They'd kind of just be doing their thing after class, tearing down, whatever. And I would just be doing what they were doing, feeling like one of them. And then I started training professionally with the guys at 9 years old. And I've been training every week since I was 9 years old until now. I'm currently 16 years old. And I had my first match when I was 12 years old in Abbotsford, Canada. And yeah, so I think it was kind of just like a natural love that fell for me. But I'm glad that this is what I chose to do out of everything else, because I'm like beyond happy with this sport. I'm completely in love with it. Like, this is my passion. This is what I want to take my entire life through. So yeah, they were supportive in whatever, but this is what I was passionate in and was always around.
Right, right. No, it's so exciting. And I've been bringing up a lot on this podcast with a lot of interviews that it's nuts because wrestling seems to be getting younger and younger and younger. You guys are showing out. I mean, we've had Billy Starks on here, we've had Marcus Matters on here, and it's scary like how young you guys are. And like you said, you started at 12, like your first match. So I can only imagine where you're gonna be like in like 5 years from now. So scary. I'm sure you'll forget me.
No, never, never.
I kid with everybody. I'm like, I see how it is. I'm gonna be forgotten. No, I'm only kidding. I love it. I love it. Oh, we have a Nick Wayne simp in the chat. I love it. What's up? What's up? That's so great. All right, so we're gonna go on to another fan tweet. So just so you know, there was a couple of questions that actually, and I wrote it out exactly how they wrote it. So Jimmy says, being a third generation wrestler, see, we're going to continue with that. He goes, did it feel like you had to be a wrestler, or did you know you could go down whatever path you could want it? Which you pretty much like answered a little bit. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more for Jimmy. So I just wanted, my fans to feel appreciated too, that I respect their tweets as well.
Of course. Yeah, kind of just still going on, the last question is like, they were supportive in like whatever I did. They gave me the option. Like, they didn't push me into something else, but they told me that, like, you don't have to do wrestling if you don't want to. Like, I know you always see it, you always talking about it, you're always like desired to do it, but like, if you want to do something else, you're always willing to do it. But I would always tell them like, no, I'm pretty sure it's this. And then I started training and then doing shows, and I was like, yeah, I know it's this. So yeah, they were just supportive in whatever I wanted to do. But I personally chose that, like, yeah, this is the one. And like, now that I'm older and like I understand it more, I'm glad I chose this, because as a kid, obviously I didn't really understand generations at like 7, 8, 9 years old. But now seeing that I am a third generation and continuing on like a last name and like a family and a legacy, it's like, it means so much more to me now, So I'm really glad that I chose to do this.
That's great. That's great. Well, we appreciate you that you chose this, because you're amazing. You're amazing. I see your questions in the chat. So give me a second, because actually, Brian, your next question in the chat kind of overlays with one of the questions I was going to go into. So I wanted to ask this, and it's funny because I did talk about this with Billy, with being young as well. How do you balance school and wrestling?
So when I first started doing shows at 12 years old, it was like a very, very slow. So it was like, for instance, I debuted when I was 12, and I did it for this fair in Canada, and it was like a 3-day fair, and every day there was 3 wrestling shows a day. So at 12 years old, my debut, I wrestled 9 shows over a weekend. Wow. And I think that was the only time I wrestled when I was 12. And then I did the same thing at 13. I did that same fair the following year. And then I also did another show in Canada while I was 13. So I really only wrestled like 2 shows when I was 13. And then once I was 14, I got picked up by a promotion called Without a Cause here in Everett, Washington. And they started using me monthly. And then I started training Lucha Libre at this place called Lucha Libre Volcanica in Seattle. And then they started using me on their shows, and like throughout the summer they would run shows in like different parts of Seattle, or like sometimes in Tacoma, which is pretty much next to Seattle. And so from 12 to 14, I was kind of just local shows, same through 15. So balancing school and like shows was pretty easy because it was in the same town as me.
Mm-hmm.
So there was really no traveling, and shows would usually fall on a Saturday or Sunday when I didn't have school. Um, so that fell out perfectly for me. But then once I turned 16 last July, I made my Paradigm debut in Indianapolis, Indiana on my 16th birthday, which is pretty cool, which like that's the summertime, so nothing really to do with school. But then I made my GCW debut in LA August 7th. And then once that happened, it was like everything just skyrocketed from there. It was like multiple promotions from out of state, like around the country, just started hitting me up. And I was like, wow, you know, like this is incredible. Cause like before my birthday, I would have like no idea I'd be traveling like the country every weekend at this age, you know?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was just so mind blown and like head over heels. And this is in like August of last year. So like still in the summer. And I was like, wow, this is incredible, you know? And then it started to get to like early September. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm about to start school. And then it kind of came to mind, like, how am I going to balance it? But all it really comes down to now is like, I go to school Monday through Friday. Sometimes, most of the time, I miss the Friday to go travel. And the school never really has like a problem with me missing days as long as I make up the work. So sometimes I have to take my school laptop with me to a different state. And then once I get there, do the work or whatever, finish a project, do an assignment, turn it in. And then they don't really have a problem as long as I really get the work in and keep my grades up. They're not really too upset about it. So that's good.
That is good. Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I go to school like normal. It's just I have to miss a lot of days due to traveling, but I still keep up with like school and education and stuff and make sure the work gets done. So yeah, off days I go to school, and then Fridays, and then sometimes when I come home on like a Monday, I have to miss Mondays too. But like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm like always in school.
Okay.
But yeah, I just got to keep up with the work, and then everything's cool.
Stay in school. Be smart. Yes. I see all you guys in the chat. David said, skip school for wrestling. LOL. No. We're encouraging good behavior here. No bad behavior here. Brad says, what is it like with the kids and teachers at school? Do other kids or teachers treat you like a star or just another student?
All right. So, I'll put this in two different categories. So the teachers don't really know that I wrestle. I don't think they know I travel either. It's just like I miss a school day and they never really question it. Because like I said, I get the work done, so they're like, okay, he got the assignment done. You know, like no need to question him. So the teachers, no, they don't really know about it really. But the students, all of like my friends and kids around my school, they all follow me on like Instagram and like social medias and stuff. So like, and like they see all my stuff, so they know like when I'm not at school on like a Friday, they're like, oh, Nixon, blah blah blah, or Nixon, blah blah blah. But a lot of the time, I have like a few close friends that like they love to support me. They come to some of my local shows. They'll like wear my merchandise at school, which is pretty cool. But then like a big majority of the other half, I'd say probably 90 to 95% of them that do know I wrestle, it's kind of just like a daily judgment, really. They all tell me like, really, like, why do you do wrestling? You know, like it's fake, it's choreographed, you know, like it's a lot of those comments, you know, like, oh, it's fake. And I hear it almost like every day, like, oh, it's fake wrestling, you do a fake sport, it's all choreographed, gymnastics, whatever. And it's like, it doesn't really bother me too much because I'm like, you can say whatever you want, but really I just try to use their hate as my motivation to just keep going and keep getting bigger, you know? And I never really let their like hate really get to me. If anything, like I said, I use it as motivation. But and there's a lot of them too, like when I was like 14, they would completely judge on me for wrestling, and then they saw I started traveling around the country, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, congratulations, bro, and like, oh, so cool you're doing this. And like, it's obviously awesome and like respectful that like they're congratulating me, but at the same time, it's like, where were you when I was still doing the same thing, just on a lower stage, you know?
Right.
But a lot of it is like a judgment on like a daily basis, but it doesn't bother me too much. So
good. Good.
Yeah.
We like to hear that. No, definitely good. There's so much negativity out there. You know, we focus on the positivity here.
Yes.
But so, you know, since we're talking about school and pretty much, I'd love to know, like, you know, so after you graduate, like, do you have aspirations just, you know, continuing with wrestling? Like, are you gonna, you know, is college in the thought? Like,
My plan after high school is to just stick with wrestling, really.
mhm.
Um, Consistently just keep wrestling like every weekend and whatnot. Throughout the weekdays when I'm home is just to keep consistently training, whether it's in the gym or in the ring or both. Um, that's kind of just all I'm really destined to do, really. Um, I know college is good and it's probably like could be something good for me, but I don't know. I feel like professional wrestling is like very like I think it's very like destined for me at this point.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would just like to keep the momentum going right after high school and like just nonstop pedal to the floor and just try to get up as high as I can, really.
Awesome. I mean, we're gonna get into that in a little bit because there's just, I mean, you've had a year, like the last year. We're gonna get into that, but I want to bring up the BSB, the Big Starks brand. You're a part of it. We've had Mouse on again. We've had Billy on. We've had a whole bunch of people part of the BSB. It's such an amazing thing. And I love Axie. We've had Cole Radrick on. Like, there's so many people that have been on this podcast, you know, that are a part of this. So I'd love to ask, like, your interpretation of it. What does it mean to you? Give us a little insight.
So BSB was like before I turned 16, so like before I went to Indiana, it was like always super cool, you know, like I'd see it all over the place, like all over like social media and all these like wrestlers that I looked up to like representing the brand and stuff, and it was like, wow, like this is really cool, like this would be awesome if I could be a part of it, you know. And there was one wrestler around here that was a part of the brand that went to Indiana with me. His name's Sonico, the Lucha Ghoul. And he's traveled around a little bit and he was a part of BSB. So when me and him traveled over to Indiana, he introduced me to Mouse and he was like, yo, this is BSB right here. And I'm like, wow, like, you know, it's very nice to meet you and whatnot. And then Sonico was like, what do we got to do to get Nick in BSB? And Mouse was like, you're in. And I was like, wow, okay. And he was like, yeah, let's take a picture and post it. You're in. I was like, all right, bet. And then like that night, I had like the BSB sleeve. I wore it on my my knee pad. It felt so cool. Yeah, like just the brand in general, and it's like it's came into something very new called BSB West Coast. We got a few guys on the West Coast. We got our like obviously a part of the main BSB family, but also representing BSB on the West Coast as well, because it was originated in the East Coast.
All right.
But now we're representing it all around the West Coast, wherever we go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to represent it kind of just like around the country, you know, whether it is on the East or West Coast or wherever. I think it's something very special, really, and I means something a lot to me. So I'm very happy and thankful that I get to represent the brand and that I can be a part of that family.
Yeah, it's so great. I love seeing it. I love seeing the knee pads, like with everybody. We see Dante on AEW. Now we're seeing Brandon Kirk wearing it. Like, it's really cool to see like it getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's such a beautiful thing, and it's like everybody associated with it is absolutely amazing. And you guys know I love you. It's incredible. It really is. So let's get into that. 2021 has been a year. You blew up, and that's where I found you. But again, like, I can't believe the year that you've had. Like, just some of the names alone that you worked, like Blake Christian, Alex Shelley, Tony Deffin. Like, these are just some of the few names that I'm gonna bring up here. And like, you know, so like, how has that been for you? Have you had like your little mark out moments with some of these guys? Like, give us a little bit.
On like matches with big names specifically?
Yeah, whatever comes to mind. Anything that comes to your, you know, with your 2021, because I'm gonna go deeper with some other matches as well.
Yeah.
after this. So this was just some of, like I said, I just wanted to bring up a couple of names that, maybe it, triggers something that you want to talk about.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna be exposing myself a few times here.
That's why we do these podcasts.
A lot of the wrestlers, honestly, all of the big names that I wrestled, I've like looked up to for a very long time, and I would have like never guessed, like at 16 years old, that I would be standing across the ring from them one on one. So there has been times where I've just been standing across the ring from them, and it really hits me. And like I'm in front of this crowd, and they're chanting our names back and forth, and I'm like, I'm really standing in front of this person right now, and it just feels so crazy. Like there was one moment in particular, I think, probably hit me the most. It was at Defy here in Seattle. Me and Blake Christian in the opening high spot of the match. We did like a whole bunch of stuff, and then a face off at the end of it, and we just stood there and like completely still, staring off at each other, standing ovation, everyone clapping, and they're all chanting D5, D5, and it was like just staring across from Blake Christian. I'm like, dude, this is someone I've looked up to for like years at this point, and I'm like, I'm standing across from him in front of like a standing ovation right now of them chanting for both of us, and I'm like, it was just so like surreal. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm really standing in front of Blake Christian right now. That was like very crazy moment for me. Another time, this one's embarrassing. In November, I wrestled Lee Moriarty at Without a Cause, and that same show, the main event was Alex Shelley versus Daniel Makabe, and after their match, I came out, grabbed the microphone, had a thing like a promo calling out Alex Shelley for a match the next month, and I remember I had the microphone, I said what I had to say, he took the microphone from me, and we got face to face, and I remember standing there, and he was talking in the microphone, and we were like probably this far away from each other, and my legs started shaking, like just standing there. I was like, no, I was like, please nobody see this. But it was just like, it was another one of those moments where it's like, I'm really standing in front of like a legend right now, like a veteran right now, like Alex Shelley. And it's like, he's talking about me and him wrestling each other. It's like, I would have never, ever imagined I'd wrestle Alex Shelley, but here we are, and here's him talking to me about how we're going to wrestle in front of these people. And it's just like, it's like a mix of like nerves and like happiness and just like shock, like all in one. And that was a little embarrassing.
But that's great though. Like that's just it's a cool experience, and it's like that's cool, and it's like, humbling, and it's just, that's why I love about these interviews with you guys, because we learn more about you, and like that's just like a cool moment, like that you shared with us, and I again appreciate you very much, for giving that. Another thing I want to talk about, and I'm sure like everybody who watched this match at GCW, we all had the same feelings with Atticus. And then you got skewered. Like, we were all mad. I mean, come on. Anybody that's listened to this interview, or if you listen to it later, you were yelling at the television, because I was. Like, I gave you kudos for doing that. So tell us about the spot, and then like, Jordan Oliver comes out for help. And then, we'll get into that like after too, that, you wind up teaming up with Jordan, like give us some about it.
So, I've never really done crazy hardcore stuff like in my career at all, really. Like, I never really, I've never touched like a door or anything until I got into GCW. Never touched steel chairs until I was in the ring with Atticus. Nothing really crazy. Like the only thing related to hardcore wrestling is like when I was like 13 or 14, I got hit with like a kendo stick one time in a match, and like that was it. So it's definitely a big jump from like a kendo stick shot to getting stabbed in the head. But I thought, I don't even know my thoughts on that. It was crazy though, because all my friends saw it, obviously. And the next day at school, they're like, "Yo, let me see your head or whatever." And I lift up my hair, and there's a bunch of little dots in my
Oh,
head, and they're like,
jeez.
"Oh my god!" And then I'll freak out and whatnot. But
Oh.
it sucked. It hurt. It sucked. um, it felt like it went by so fast
Mm-hmm.
because I like squeezed my eyes really tight, like gritted my teeth, and I just remember like my eyes were shut, and it's just like my head is just moving really hard, and then I open them and I see a bunch of green sticks hanging out my head. You
Oh,
know,
jeez. Oh my God.
crazy moment. I even FaceTimed my mom after it happened, and there's like blood coming out of my head and
Oh
stuff, and she was
no.
all freaking out. She was watching the stream at home too.
Oh no.
Um, yeah, but yeah, like it sucked, but
The respect
I
to
look
the
back at,
deathmatch wrestlers, right? Pretty much like after that moment.
yeah, very, yeah, I respect all of them. And yeah, after that moment, I was like, once it like sunk in, I was like, wow, like, did I really just do that? And like the pictures started coming out and stuff of like them like all in my head and whatnot, and I was just like, oh my god.
Jeez.
um, but no, I think it was a pretty cool moment for me because like at 16 years old, like for something like that to happen, I'm sure it was like a jaw drop and an eye opener for everybody watching. Like, there's no way a kid just got skewered in the head, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like there's like nothing choreographed or fake to that at all.
Yeah.
um yeah, like that's 1,000%, like you're really getting skewers stabbed into your head, and you're like, something you eat shish kebabs off of, that stick is multiple of them in your head, you know. um
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
crazy moment, but like I said, I feel like that was something special,
Mhm.
like being 16 and something like that being like such an attraction, like everyone like, oh my god, holy shit, you know.
Yeah. How was like your social media after that? Did it like blow up like completely? I'm sure. Like, I mean, I was seeing. We were all again. I was screaming at the television. You know. So it's like,
Yeah,
no, why? You know. So I can only imagine your social media is blowing up.
yeah, it was all like quoted retweets on Twitter, and everything was in all caps. Oh my god.
That's great.
um but yeah, crazy moment. I feel like that was a really big game changing moment, you know. You never really seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm. PNW Seahawk fan says, "Hey Nick, it's Nate."
Yo, what up, Nate? Big fan of mine.
Aw, I love it. I love it.
Yes,
Um,
he's awesome.
so let's talk a little bit about 5cc. You're the champion over there, right? Like,
Yes.
you know, tell us about like that moment of winning that championship.
Bet. Um, so on top of that, the day I won the championship was the day I got announced for my GCW debut, and a week exactly before the GCW debut. Um, that being my first promotion to win a championship for,
Mm-hmm.
very cool moment, like very amazing moment. I think the part that got me the most is once, so it was a 5-way elimination match. It was down to me and the other guy, and once the ref counted 1, 2, 3, every person in the building all jumped to their feet, and you can see it on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I won by a roll up. And it was like just seeing every fan in the building like jump out of their seat, and all them just like cheering and everything, chanting like, "You deserve it" and whatnot. Like, it was truly crazy, you know. And it was like just knowing like that day already started for me, like waking up to seeing GCW tagged you in a post, you know,
Yeah.
and then seeing that, and like everything is like just going crazy on the internet, and then a few hours later winning a championship, and it was just like, I can't believe life right now, you know. It was so crazy. But
Aw.
I'm still currently their champion. On Cage Match, I'm pretty sure it's down to like 140 or 150 something days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so such like a crazy moment for all of those stuff to pile on the same day. Very special day for me.
That's great. That's great. David in the chat says, Nick, who is on your radar you would like to wrestle in any promotion or GCW?
Would you call that like a dream match? I guess you could say.
We could do a dream match. I mean, I had something a little similar to that, so you know, we'll go with that.
Okay, well, we'll save that for later. I'll just think of a few off the top of my head.
Are you gonna? Okay, we're gonna save that. We're gonna save that. So
Yeah.
we'll move on to another
I'll
one.
answer his question, but we'll get to the dream question
Okay.
in a little
Okay.
bit.
We'll go back there. All right. So I want to talk about this because this. I mean, you and me had talked about it in the DMs a little bit. You and Jack Cartwheel against my boys over here, Dylan McKay and Marcus
Yes.
Matters at Violence and Suffering. This match, like, if I could have been there, like, forget it. Like, I probably would have been screaming my brains off that I probably would have, like, lost my voice because I knew when this was announced that I knew this was going to be something really special. And Spot Fest, again, I love all the flippy stuff. And you guys, between the four of you guys had great chemistry. And this really was like one of my favorite matches that, you know, recently, I mean, I swear every match, like you keep topping. But between everybody that was in this match, you know, I love everybody in this match, but my God, like,
Yeah.
I have no words for this match.
That match, yeah, I knew once it got announced, I was like, the first thing that came to my head is I was like, West Coast young boys versus East Coast young boys,
Yeah.
you know, like the young guns, the come ups on the independents. And knowing that we were going to be the first match on the card, I was like, holy, you know, it's like the fans, it's like their first match of the night, hottest reactions to everything. I'm like, wow, this is going to be nuts. I'm very happy with the outcome of the match. It was my VXS debut. VXS was a promotion I wanted to work for a very, very long time. And I'm happy that it got to be, that was the debut match. And it was in LA. Which I'm like, I love the LA crew now. I love like going to LA for wrestling and whatnot. But yeah, just that match in particular, I was like, this is going to be something crazy. And it was. I think it came down to like 12 or 13 minutes of just like straight madness, you know? And like, I've never worked with Dylan McKay before that match. Me and Marcus Mathers were a part of like a scramble one time together in Chicago. But I think we only touched in the match maybe one time. So getting to work with Mathers was like awesome. I would love to wrestle him in like a singles along with McKay at some point down the line. Love getting to work with them. Very hardworking young men. Yeah, that match was nuts. People still tell me about that. Like just like as of right now, people are telling me like, yo, that VXS match you guys had, it was like nuts. Like you guys just like were doing jaw dropping things. And it was like, that felt really cool to me. And like, pretty sure I've heard that was both McKay and Mather's first time either in California or on the West Coast in general.
Yeah, I think it was both. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, I was really happy because there was one point in the match it came to all four men were in the ring. We all did some crazy like stuff. We were all down on the mat, and then everyone around the ring is banging on the mat, VXS, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that was always a cool moment for me, but I really felt that for them. I'm like, this is your guys' first time in the West Coast, and you're having the promotion's name being chanted with every fan smacking on the apron. Like, they're in love with this. They're invested with this. You're like, very cool moment for me. And, like, I love both of those guys so much. And I just feeling that connection, I was like, this is awesome. You're like, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
It was. I know. Like, I watched it twice. I watched it. I don't think I watched it live. I think I watched it after. I think I was somewhere else. And then, like, Melissa's in the chat. She says that was a fun match. I was like, we have to watch this match. I was like, it was so good. You know, and I've been saying, like, I've been waiting for the singles match. And I've actually been talking to a promoter. I'm like, I need the singles match between Nick and Marcus or Nick and Dylan.
Yes.
And I'm like, make this happen. It has to happen. You know, so that's the nice thing about, like, you know, being friends with a lot of promoters. Like, hey, like, can you make this happen?
Yes. No, I really want to wrestle both of them in like a singles match. And like I told Marcus before, I'm like, bro, we got to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like we're somewhat close to age, you know, like we're both still like the young guns on the independents and whatnot. So I think it'd be like a really cool attraction like just like the tag match.
Yeah.
West Coast Young Gun versus
Yeah.
East Coast Young Gun.
It's
It'd
just
be
it's just
amazing.
cool, and you guys are all like prodigies, of like the wrestling generations, which is great, and you guys are hungry, and you could see it, and I think those are the things that kind of trigger a fan to become a fan of you guys. Like I definitely see it, and like I've been kind of like noticing a lot more of the younger talent, because it's like shit, the things that you guys do, it's very impressive. So
thank you.
I'm ready for the singles matches. So promoters,
Yes.
make it happen.
Let's do it.
I like to be there. I mean, preferably on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Preferably on the
Yeah.
East Coast, so I can come and sit front row for this, so I can scream and lose my voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got to do it.
So, all right. So we can't talk Marcus Matters without Billy Starks. Okay. The unit here, like I like to call them now. But let's talk, which aired, and I'm sad because I really wanted to come to this show, but I didn't get to. But I was so glad that it aired on IWTV. The Cosmic Christmas for Billy's birthday, which was so much fun. If you have not watched this event, go back on IWTV. Go watch this. Go watch the show. It's so much fun. And you got to work with Ace Perry, who's coming on this podcast next week, guys. I haven't announced it yet, so now you guys get it first. Ace Perry's coming on next week. So we're gonna chat with him. So give us a little bit about that. Like Billy said she's not doing this again. I don't believe it. The fans want it again. Like, this is gonna have to be her birthday thing. I know it's stressful. But again, overall, the show was so much fun, and you guys had a great match too. Like, man, like, talk to us about overall.
Well, the Cosmic Christmas was something like pretty special, obviously, like a 17th birthday, a birthday show, all surrounded by one person, Billy Starks. Something very special, and I'm really glad I got to wrestle Ace Perry, because like ever since I first went to Indiana, I've heard all of this hype about Ace Perry. Like, bro, you and Ace Perry would kill it. Ace Perry wrestles just like you. You guys wrestle just like each other. And like, I still really haven't wrestled in Indiana a lot. I think I wrestled like maybe like 5 or 6 times. But since day one, I've just like been like, all right, when am I going to wrestle Ace Perry? Like I really wanted it to happen. And then for it to happen on that show at that time, I feel like it all just fell right into place, Yeah. So I'm very glad I got that opportunity to have that match at that show as well. And something very special to me. One of my favorite matches. It was very sick. And then alongside with going with Billy Starks, me and her had a singles match one time in September of 2021 for Without a Cause. There was a Without a Cause versus Paradigm show. And of course, you got to get the two young kids together, I feel like that kind of just wrote itself,
Yeah.
That was definitely one of my favorite matches, probably top 10, 1,000%. I feel like that match was something very cool, because at the time we were both 16 years old, and everyone was just like, oh, the energy of youth, It was like everyone just thought it was like a very cool attraction. Like, we're watching like the next generation of professional wrestling, like in front of our eyes, And I feel like that was just something like a really special moment for professional wrestling, and like all the fans that got to see it. And for those of you who haven't got to see it, it's on YouTube right now. Feel free to watch it whenever you can. It was awesome. I love the match. I feel like I said, it was something like special to professional wrestling.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Awesome
No, like pretty much a lot of these matches that bring it up. Like, again, like I said, like I found you last year, and a lot of these matches, they're just incredible. Like that you had. That's why I said, like, I put people on this podcast that I truly like. I feel like they're going to blow up. And again, like, you've had some bangers last year, and like I could only imagine again going forward of 2022, and like me watching a lot of you guys, like it's wild. And it's like, like I get close to you guys and like watching you and being on social media and everything and supporting, even though like I can't physically be everywhere, which I wish I could. So if somebody wants to invent that clone machine for me, let me know, so I can go support all my favorites. But I get to see you, like I know I get to see you in a couple of weeks. We'll get back to that. Let's do some of this more questions. I got a lot of fan questions. So here, this one was really sweet, and I know that you shared this one. It was from Charlie Evans. She goes, "Hi Nick, big fan. I'm just wondering why you're so nice and lovely and a sweet angel. Thanks, Charlie Evans." Like, I melted when I saw this tweet, and I'm like, these are the things that I love seeing on social media. So I'm sure, like, you were like, oh, this is, meant a lot to you too.
It did, yeah. Charlie Evans was someone I got to meet last year as well. I haven't got to do many shows with her.
Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate, but we've gotten to do a few together. I saw her right before she left for Australia, her and Connor, at the last Atlantic City show during New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really glad I got to say like goodbye for now to you guys, you know? And yeah, very, very sweet people. Charlie Evans, very sweet lady. I'd love to wrestle her someday. Like, I would love to do it one day. I think it would be something very sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, great people. I love both of them.
Yeah.
Awesome people.
They're such great people and like great wrestlers, and like a guy, like if you guys are
Very.
not on these trains, like the JCW trains, and like GCW, get on the trains because they're putting out really good stuff. Like definitely pay attention to JCW because I feel like you're seeing a lot more of the younger talent, which is great. And they mostly focus on that, so it's nice to kind of start there, especially if you're not a big deathmatch person. Definitely check out JCW. I think that like fits everybody's like alley a little bit. You get a little bit of everything. You get we had a great cage match with Everett and Charles Mason. Like it's just great. So we're gonna move on to another fan tweet. Our friend Everything Pro Wrestling, Conrad, that's my boy. He's in the chat. He said, if money was no object, who would you pay to play you in the ring? It's a fun question.
I feel like that kind of has to be the person that sings your entrance song, right?
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
I'd probably do that, honestly, like a live thing for my own theme song. So probably T.I. then.
Okay.
Probably T.I. singing What You Know live. That'd be pretty sick. That'd feel like some like WrestleMania moment type thing.
Hey, you never know, right? Like you never know what can happen in wrestling.
That would be sick. That would be insane.
You never know. I like to leave that out there. So our friend Dave, he had a fan question, and I know like we talked about it before, but we're gonna give him love. He said, if you could make a video game based on you, what type of game would it be?
Ooh. This is difficult because I know it probably sounds crazy as a teenager, but like I don't really play a lot of video games.
He's busy wrestling.
I used to kind of like when I was young and whatnot, like I would play like Super Mario and like the Wii.
So you'll be Mario. There you go.
Yeah.
There you
like
go.
Super Mario type game.
There you go.
That'd be pretty cool.
There you go. I like that actually. I love Mario, so I'd be definitely down to play this. It's like one of my favorites. All right, so fan tweet Gabriel. He goes, who is your most challenging opponent you ever faced in 2021? That's a good one.
Most challenging. Well, I faced a lot of guys that like definitely 1,000% put me to the test. Biggest challenge though, I'll list a few, but one that comes on the top of my head right away is probably Joey Janela. I remember the month before I wrestled Joey, on the projector screen at Defy, came on a promo right after my match of him calling me out for the next show, and he mentioned in his promo like one of the best professional wrestlers of all time, one of the most reckless professional wrestlers of all time, one of the most dangerous professional wrestlers of all time. And I feel like just being in the ring with Joey, someone who is like goes hard every single time he steps in the ring, like always puts his opponents to the test, 30 plus minute matches, that really put me to the test. And my match with Joey was my favorite match I've ever had. My longest match I've ever had. It won Defy Match of the Year. It's just something so crazy to me. And like, I looked up to Joey as well for a very long time. So getting to do that was like very awesome, but also very challenging at the same time because I did things that I would have never imagined I'd be doing, especially at this age. Like for instance, I gave Joey a Spanish fly off of the second rope onto the floor, like just straight onto the ground. It's like very wild stuff, you know?
Yeah.
We did like all this crazy stuff. I like jumped off the stage and whatever. We did like a reverse Spanish fly off the top rope. All of these, like the psycho driver, like super dragon, package pile driver, you know, all these super kicks that just snug up right in the jaw, you know?
Yeah.
Very like, I think that match really put me to the test, you know? And very awesome moment for me. Like I said, favorite match I've ever had. That was awesome. Another big test, probably second gear crew, SGC.
Yeah.
It happened in GCW LA. It was Matthew Justice, Mance Warner, and AJ Gray versus me, Starboy Charlie, and Lucas Riley. And obviously, if you know SGC, you know how they roll, you know how their matches go. And I think just seeing like SGC versus young kids is just like, holy fuck, like really?
Yeah.
Are you serious? But yeah, it got wild, you know, like every SGC match, you know, props to those guys. It got wild, you know, chairs, doors, those chair shots, they are no joke.
Yeah.
Those are no joke. They swing for the fences on those.
Yeah, those guys don't play around.
No, yeah, they don't. They're as real as it gets.
Yeah. Funny.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a big challenge for me and probably my opponents as well. You know, like us young guys being with guys as crazy as SGC, you know?
Yeah.
Very awesome. Love those guys. Very hardworking people.
They are.
Yeah.
So I think this is the perfect spot, you know, again, like I like asking, you know, you never know what happens on this podcast. Sometimes things manifest, sometimes they actually happen. And we're going to go back kind of like to David's question. Usually a lot of people that come on here, I always ask them because like I always go back to the young talent, you know, because I'm always like, a lot of people usually come in here a lot older and I go, okay, we're seeing all these young kids now coming about, you know, so it's like, who's caught your eye? So I guess because like now you're the young talent, you know, has there been anybody that you haven't wrestled, you know, that's caught your eye that you're like, damn, like I need to get into the ring with this person?
Yes. Definitely. So is it cool if I say the dream match now?
Yeah, go for it.
So my dream match in professional wrestling, well, my all-time favorite wrestler is Eddie Guerrero. I truly think he's one of the best to ever do this sport. But someone that I've been like watching since I was 8 or 9 years old, and that has been my dream match for years now, is Will Osprey. Incredible talent. I truly think he is also one of the best to do this sport. He is a big inspiration on like my moveset and the things I do in the ring, like the very acrobatic style, you know. Very big inspiration for me. But like another guys that I'd love to share the ring with that I think we could just create magic is Bandito. That's like a huge dream of mine. Amazing Red be another amazing one.
I pop now but you say that, you know. Man.
Bandito, Leo Rush, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Recently coming back to wrestling, Jake Atlas.
Yeah.
I think that'd be incredible. Dragon Lee is another one I think that would just be like incredible.
I just love these names. I love it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, Will Ospreay, Amazing Red. I just saw them recently at House of Glory. I was trying to get Marcus Matters to come with me to that show, but then he wound up getting booked at a show, so he couldn't come with me. And I said, you need to come to the show. And that was amazing. Like, if you guys, pun intended, that was like an amazing match to see live. So I mean, I would love to see that in the and again, it's wrestling. And the indies, you never know, you know, like you never know what could happen. Oof. I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my goodness, all these names. Well, you know what? Again, we don't know what's gonna happen in the future. You really have listed some great names. You know.
Thank you so much.
So yeah. Let's go on to like some more questions here. Where do we like okay, so we have a fan tweet from our friend Good Cop Bad Cop. He's hilarious. He goes, with Nick Wayne being an anagram of key can win, what is the key thing that can give you the best chance to win any match?
Ooh. um Something that I really like feel and I feel like move through me when I'm out there is the crowd's energy.
Mm-hmm.
When the crowd is like very behind the match, very invested to the match, you know, like reacting for every little thing. And then when the big stuff happens, they just lose their mind. Like I truly, really feel those moments. And that's what kind of just hypes me up and just gives me more adrenaline, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Adrenaline is a big key as well. Adrenaline is like my best friend.
Yeah.
Just getting hyped before the match, which I do before almost every match. But I would say a lot of it is probably like the crowd's energy, you know, like when the crowd is behind you, when they want to see you win, when they're reacting for all this stuff, it's like it really motivates you, like, all right, like let's go, you know, like they're really invested in this, they want to see this. Kind of like my match with Joey Janela.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they were like, it felt like they were on the edge of their seat the whole time, you know, and it was like they're reacting for every little thing, and then when the big stuff does happen, they just lose their mind, you know.
Yeah.
And like moments like that, there's like you can feel the vibration through the floor, you know. And yeah, just very awesome moments. And like I would definitely say for the answer to that is probably the crowd's energy, because their energy that they give off,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely just gives off from me. Yeah, I think that's my answer. Probably just the crowd's energy.
Be loud, people. Like, don't be dead at these shows. Be loud. Get in there. You know, throw streamers, scream out your favorites,
Yes.
like heckle the heels. Like as I definitely do. I get dived at by everybody at H2O. So if people know that, they aim at me purposely. Don't get any ideas though. Don't get any ideas. Only the H2O kids can do that shit to me. All right. So another fan question. This one I got like right before we did the podcast. It's her friend Kate. She just started training a couple of months ago. She's 18. She lives in the UK. So she gave me a couple questions. So her first one was, how do you plan to take the independent wrestling scene by storm in 2022?
Well, in 2022, obviously, I'd like to keep the momentum going from 2021 up until 2022 and more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my all-time goal by the end of 2022, and at that point I'll be 17 years old, is to probably be one of the best on the independents. It's like I get these, like, as you guys see, and like as you mentioned, I'll like do these big shows like for GCW and all these other major independent companies, and I'll wrestle like all of these like big names, and like I just hope to be one of them by the end of 2022, is just to be one of like the best on the independents at 17 years old, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like by the end of 2022, when people hear the word independent wrestling, they think of names, and my name is one of them, you know?
Right.
I feel like that's one of my goals, is just to be one of the best on the independents.
Yeah. I mean,
to just travel the world, more states, hopefully out of country stuff. Yeah.
It's only January. It's only January.
Yeah.
So we're only, what are we in, 2 weeks in? Like, it's only January.
Right.
So I can only imagine what your year, you know, like, again, like the last couple of months have been really crazy for you. So I can only imagine like what 2022 is going to be. You know, which we'll get into like after we finish all my questions, because we have some stuff that you have coming up that we're going to talk about. Her other question was, she wants to know, you know, what are your pre-match rituals?
Pre-match rituals. Definitely before my matches. It's like, obviously before every match, I'm going to give it my all, right?
Yeah.
But kind of like maybe the match before mine or 2 matches before mine, I will sit down and I will try to channel myself into a zone. Like, you got to give it everything into this match, like put everything in it, give the fans the most fire you got, put everything into the match, like everything into this match, put your body on the line, and like I was saying in the last question, it was like, I'm saying right now, I would like to be one of the best on the independents in 2022. And it's like, okay, this is one of your matches that is going to be on your resume. That's going to be a part of all the matches you've had. It's like, you can't slack on this one,
Yeah.
I feel like every match you have to put your all into it, especially if you would like to be one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I think kind of just channeling the zone and being like, where could this match possibly take me, because like there could be matches that like they just get announced and a lot of people just look at it as like a match on the card,
Mm-hmm.
but you never know. It could turn into a match that could just take professional wrestling by storm.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely think just channel yourself into a zone to be like, this is it. I'm putting my all into this match. I'm doing whatever it takes. Yeah, just, I would say, I mean, that's what I do at least.
Yeah.
Is just channel into the zone, be like, this is it. Give it everything you got. These people came, they're excited for this match. And just give it your all, really, is all I would say.
Oh, that's awesome. So I have 2 final questions for you. I mean, I could sit here and talk with you for hours and I could go after like every match and stuff like that, but we're not going to do that. We can try to keep around like an hour podcast around here. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free, drop them into the chat, because like I said, like I'm obviously a huge fan, I watch a lot of your matches, even if I don't see you live, like I make sure that I make those times for a lot of the matches. But one of the things that I love doing on this podcast, because we get so much negativity in general on social media, I love to focus on the positivity in wrestling. And again, like I tell everybody on this podcast, like because of the fact that I podcast, I do interviews, I do backstage stuff at shows, I become really good friends with a lot of the wrestlers, so I get to see that insight of things that fans don't see, that I have a little up on. But I'd love to shed with you, is there anything that comes to mind, maybe something you did for, a fan, or maybe a fan's done something for you, or maybe a wrestler's done something for you, or vice versa. Is there anything that sticks out to you, in that, wrestling with positivity that you would love to share with us?
Well, like every single one of like my fans, or like the fans that come to support wrestling, I love all of them, obviously. Like I show all of my love to these fans. It's like, I love performing for fans around the country. I love each and every one of them, but for me, where it touches my heart the most is the kids. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like the kids, when they watch me wrestle, they can connect to me in a way. Especially when they find out how young I am. They're like, oh my gosh, he's close to my age, and then right away they get that emotional connection with me. Mm-hmm. Or like the ones that come up to me during intermission or after the show and like ask for a small t-shirt,
Yeah.
But I definitely, the kids is like, it's gotta be my soft spot, really. Yeah. Just because, like I said, I feel like they can connect to me in a way, and like, especially the ones that like have told me before, and like I've almost like teared up saying that like they like look up to me or whatever. They're like, Nick Wayne, like you're my favorite. No. Or like if before the show I'll be like doing something at the merch table, and then like a child's father will be like close to me and he'll call his son and point at me, and the son's eyes will go wide. It happened to me one time before, and it was like the most heart-touching moment ever. Aww. But yeah, the fans is like the little kids is always like my soft spot. Mm-hmm. Like I have this little place in my heart. It's just like, aww. It makes me feel like so like head over heels, just like I'm on the moon. It's like these are little kids, and I feel like they're connected to me in a way, and it was like they look up to me, and it's just like it's so crazy, Yeah. Same with the adult fans though. It's like the adult fans like when they come up to me and they like support me at like the merch table or during my matches, or like tell me how they felt about my match or what they think of me during intermission. It's like that stuff really boosts me, and like it really gives me motivation. Like when they're like, dude, Nick, you're awesome, man. Like I really enjoyed your match. Just that, it like takes me from here to here, I'm like, wow, this fan that paid hard-earned money to come see this show came out of his way to come tell me he really enjoyed my match. And it
Yeah.
was like, that means like the world to me, because like obviously we're performing for the fans that paid to come see the show. So for them to just tell you like, I really enjoyed your match, that's like them getting their money's worth, you know?
Yeah.
And like that means the world to me, because they worked hard for that money, you know?
Aw.
And they're spending it to come see our work that we
Yeah.
train hard for, to perform in front of them, you know?
Yeah.
So I love all the fans in general, really. That's like one of my biggest things in wrestling that I love the most, is just the fans.
Aw. I love that. I love that. Brad in the chat, he's talking about my goddaughter. She's like, that's why Kathy likes you. You know, Melissa's saying Azalea will, if she gets to see you live, she's gonna love you too, you know. But even like, you know, again, like
Yes.
me, you know, that I was like, okay, like we met again, like I said, we met at GCW emo night. I went looking for you, and I was like, okay, I gotta go meet him, because like, again, like I said, I have this thing when people catch me, I start talking about them, and I'm like, okay, this kid is good. This so and so wrestler's like so good. And when that name starts coming out of my mouth a lot, it's like, okay, podcast, gotta meet in person, gotta support, like, you know. So I went looking for you and Alex Zane, because we love Alex Zane on this podcast.
Yes.
You know, so I was like, all right, I gotta go. I was like, I forgot. Oh, it was Billy, our friend Billy from GoPro Wrestling, that was doing the camera. I was like, I have to find
Yes.
Nick. I was like, find me, text me if you know where he is. I was like, I need to meet him. So I'm glad that we got to meet, and again, we saw in Atlantic City. And then, you know, I got sick for New Year's, even though I was supposed to go to Wrestleville, but I will be at Hammerstein. I will be at GCW in Atlantic City, so you'll see me again.
Awesome.
So I'll definitely be there for you. There is a question in the chat. Let me grab it. Your friend Nate, he says, Nick Wade versus Randy Myers for the Defy Championship. Thoughts?
Let's do it. That's my like. So another thing to throw on top of this is next month at Defy, I'm facing Christopher Daniels for the Defy Intern Championship, because currently Randy Myers is stuck in Canada due to the border and stuff and COVID and whatnot. It's became an issue. So currently at Defy, we have an Intern Championship, which is Christopher Daniels. And I will be competing against him. Another match that's a dream match of mine, and it's a complete honor to work with Christopher Daniels.
Yeah.
That's coming up next month for the Defy Intern Championship. So who knows, if I beat Christopher Daniels, then I can hold on to that intern until Randy Myers comes in, and then it's me and him.
Oof.
But I'd love to do it. I've known Randy Myers since I was like 9 years old. So
Man.
I would love it. I think it'd be something awesome for the Defy fans as well.
Yeah.
But yes, I would love to do it. That'd be incredible.
There's so many promotions. Like, I have bucket lists for me of places that I'd love to travel to see. Like, hopefully, like, COVID will get better. That we could start. Like, me, I'm a little nervous to like do these big travels, you know. But Without a Cause is definitely one that I want to go to. Defy's another one. Like, there's so many freaking promotions out there. Like, support your local promotions, guys. Like, definitely, like, and then IWTV and YouTube and all Twitch and all these apps that we have. And again, like if you sit here, you support Nick, you know, and then you could watch him travel to other promotions, and then you start finding other. That's usually how it works. And that's how it worked for me. Is like you start finding and you start following, you know, where you guys go. So it's really exciting again, like to watch, you know, what you have coming up. I mean, Dave in the chat, he goes, yeah, good stuff coming up. Like it's exciting. So my last question, you know, that I have, and I love doing this for the fans, you know, that are starting to train, thinking about training, thinking about getting into wrestling, you know, like, so for those amateur, you know, inspiring wrestlers out there, what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
Just give it everything you got, honestly. I know it sounds cheesy as of right now, but I'm going to go into explanation about it, which is awesome, because in Atlantic City, there was this fan that had a H2O tryout last Friday.
Jimmy.
He asked me.
Jimmy.
Yeah. he asked me for advice on that as well. But honestly, it's just give it your all. and just do whatever you can to improve in what you love, which if is professional wrestling, do whatever you can to improve. And like by anything, I mean, it could be from consistently wrestling, like wrestling training, or asking your trainer if there's separate days, or like not separate, but like obviously main train days, but like additional days you can come in to train to get more reps in, learn more new things. Anything that you can put more hard work into, or just like to become better as yourself or a professional wrestler, like study matches, working out outside of wrestling, working out inside of wrestling, like in the ring, whether it's boosting your social media page as a professional wrestler, or working on merchandise for shows, as like just whatever it is just to always have some type of focus to get better in it. But for those specifically starting off, like brand new to training, I know like it really hurts, especially starting off. It's like your body isn't used to a wrestling ring at all, you know. You're learning how to bump. You're literally just throwing your body onto a platform full of beams, boards, canvas, pads, you know, and it's like your body isn't used to this, and it really hurts. Like these bumps, they really hurt. Running the ropes, I've seen people get bruised up for like months on it, and it's like this sport, it's like it's not something really like easy, you know, like it's very hard on your body, and I know like it really hurts, but you got to keep going, you know. Eventually your body will become natural to it, and like learn that it's something becoming normal. But starting off and like just getting your body used to the way the ring feels, it's really painful, you know, but just know the more consistency you put into it and the more hard work you put into it, it's going to eventually flow and become second nature to you. And then once you get those basics down, then you advance to something else, and then you get that down, and then something else, and everything is just an uphill, a climbing ladder uphill. And yeah, it's just give it your all. Do whatever you have to do to become the best of yourself in training, you know. Like until this day, like I still train weekly, you know, and it's like bumps still suck for me, especially me being like a teenager. My body is still growing and developing, and I'm just damaging it with these bumps, you know. But yeah, it sucks, I know, but it eventually it'll become like a second nature. It'll just become normal. And that's all I really have to say.
No,
is
it's
just
great. No,
give it your all. I know a lot of people are like passionate in it, especially the ones that first start training. It's like all they want to do is just like wrestling. I'm so passionate in this, like let's get to training, you know. It's just always work hard in whatever you have to do to become the best version of you.
I love that. That's great advice. It's so
And to never give up as well. I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off
you're
right there.
good. You're good. No, that's great.
But to add on to that, it's just like to never give up as well, you know. Like think of whatever you have to do to motivate yourself to keep going, really, you know. Like let's say you're doing like a really hard in-ring cardio drill, you know, and it's like you're done with the drill, and it's like you're breathing really hard, you're super tired, but you got to do the drill again in 2 minutes from now, you know. You don't know if you can do it or not, but then you start thinking to yourself in your head, like, what would the little kid in me sitting on the couch watching SmackDown think, you know? Or like think about, if I get through this drill, where it's going to take me, like how achieved I'll feel of myself, you know. And just don't give up, you know. And people you tell, like, yeah, I started training professional wrestling, they'll be like, oh, the fake stuff, like the fake wrestling, and they'd be like, well, I guess you could call it that, and then they're going to start hating on you, know. Like I said earlier about like the kids in school or whatnot, that's going to happen it happens to adults as well.
Yeah.
But just know that one day when you make your debut on a show and you have fans cheering for you, you've made it. You know, all those fans that have all hated on you, you just proved them all wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing your childhood dream because you never gave up, you never lost hope, and you're just using their hate on you as your motivation to just not give up, to keep thriving, keep striving, keep going hard in what you love, and that is professional wrestling. So I feel like that is something that's very special as well to this sport, is just not giving up and staying dedicated to this sport.
Oh, I love it. There's a couple of things in the chat where we
Yes.
go. Lauren's in the chat. She goes, whose house is the best one to hang out at when you're not traveling?
a wrestler's house, I'd assume. I haven't really been in a lot of wrestlers' homes, really. But one that I would definitely say feels like a second home is probably the Starks family.
Aw.
Honestly, like I usually will go over there and hang out whenever I'm in Indiana. For whatever type of show it is in Indiana, but it's like since day one, since I've met them, they've treated me like one of theirs,
Yeah.
And it's like it's awesome, and they have like so much like BSB stuff on the wall, and they have this one flag in the living room. It's this big BSB flag, and it has signatures on it from people that are in the brand. And when I got to sign it, I was like, bet, let's go. But yeah, that house, it definitely feels like another home just because of the way that family like treats me. They treat me like I'm one of theirs. And it's like, I love them. They're awesome.
Aw.
It's like, I thank them so much for everything they've done for me.
They're
So yeah, that's
definitely
probably
good
my
people.
answer.
She said it better be mine and Oren's.
Ah!
I love it. Matt in the chat says, Nick, it's Matt, Tim Flowers' son. How you doing, man?
Oh, what's up, Matt? How you doing? I haven't seen him in so long.
Aw.
That's crazy.
Thanks for
Great to hear from you.
jumping into the chat. You guys are awesome. So let's
Yes,
talk
thank you.
about what you got coming up. So like, what's coming up? Where can everybody like watch you? I mean, I have a couple of flyers here for you guys. Like, woo, my God, you are busy. Oof, GCW, Prestige, like, I mean, Hammerstein, like,
Ooh.
oh, are you excited? Like,
I don't even know how to feel. It's like, it's so crazy. It's going to be like the biggest crowd I've ever performed in front of.
yeah, us New
And like
Yorkers.
a lot of history behind that building too. I'm getting like a whole new set of gear made for it.
Oh,
It's going to be
man.
nuts. It's about, we're under 2 weeks away, I think now.
Yeah. God, is it not this weekend? It's next weekend. Is it next week?
Yep.
Yeah, like next Sunday. So you're coming to New York. You'll be in my neck of the woods with us New Yorkers. Not everybody's got a thick accent like me that says like hot dog and coffee and stuff like that. But make sure, okay, like here's the recommendation. You got to go to Times Square, and you got to go to Gray's Papaya and have a hot dog. Okay. Like, so when you do that, you can think of me like, cause everybody laughs at me how I say hot dog. And when I say hot dog, like, I'm thinking Gray's Papaya, like you got to have that hot dog, like the 2 hot dogs and a drink. And it's probably like $5-6 or whatever like that. But it's one of the best hot dogs that you're going to get in New York.
Yes.
But let's see. Yeah, good cop, bad cop. I see you in the chat. I know he's watching from the beginning now, but he wanted to say hi. He'll catch up on to the podcast. Thank you for your questions. Let's see. Nate says, when is your next match for 5cc?
The next match for 5cc will be February 26th in Bellingham, Washington.
And Maddie said, it's been a while since we've seen you. So, see, you got to
Yes,
catch
it
up
has
with
been.
old friends because of this podcast. So,
Yes, I got to see y'all soon. I got to come see y'all.
there you go. So that's pretty much everything that I have. Tell everybody where like they can find you to support you, maybe buy some merch, all that. Tell everybody like
Places you can follow me at is on Instagram at _Nick Wayne. On Twitter, Nick Wayne 21. I don't really use Facebook a lot, so like I feel bad for the people that be like friending me, and like I never go on Facebook. So when I go back on, I'm like, oh no.
like me.
But Twitter and Instagram are probably like the 2 main ones, my 2 like most consistent. I stay up on there. Merchandise, stiffblade.com. Thankfully I'm part of the Stiff Bladed team. They got very cool sweatshirts, beanies, t-shirts, pants, baseball jerseys, all of this crazy stuff. That's a place you can support my merch at. If I come to a show in your town or state, I have merchandise with me. I put it out every time whenever I can. Yeah, those are probably like the best ways to stay like consistent, or like where I stay the most consistent at
Yeah.
on social media wise.
Cool. All those links are in the description below. I love your pin. I
Sweet.
put your pin with all my
Oh,
other pins. Like I'm a pin girl now. Like that's what like I'm not a big merch person. But I'm a pin girl, so it's like I love your little
let's
heart.
go.
It's sitting with Billy Starks and Marcus Matters on my little thing with Alex Zane and all that stuff like that up in my little area of merchandise of you guys. So guys, definitely support. Like go say hi. Don't be afraid. I always preach this
Please,
now on the
yes.
podcast. Like you see
I
the
love
motivation for him. It just it's astonishing. It's just great. So but oh, Brad says, when's the Nick Wayne base all jersey coming out with stiff blade? Oh, baseball jersey. Sorry.
Sneak peek real quick.
Ooh.
I'm gonna debut the baseball jersey at the Hammerstein Ballroom for my entrance, and then right after the Hammerstein show, it'll be up on the Stiff Blade website. But that's when it'll first be announced. Is I'll wear it on my entrance at Hammerstein, and then it'll be on the site right after that. So
Awesome.
after next Sunday, it should be up on the site.
There you go. There you go. So David's laughing at me how I say hot dog. Did you ask the road story or hotel question? Oh, what? You want me to ask him? Like, 'cause sometimes, like, I ask certain questions to certain wrestlers. So I guess he wants me to ask you about road trips. Like, have any funny stories about road trip?
I feel like always the best stories are always with Jimmy Lloyd. I got to stay with Jimmy Lloyd like times now, but like he's a great human, but like he's funny when he's not trying to be funny. So being with him is just like always a constant laugh, like, oh Jimmy, I've gotten to, honestly, my favorite like road trip answers is probably with Starboy Charlie. Usually on GCW when we go around and travel, me and Starboy for a while got put in the same rooms together always. Probably just because we're close in age, we're like, okay, let's put the kids together, But something that was really cool is like for the New York show, we got there the day of emo fight, stayed the night there, did the Get Lost a Lot show the next night, and then left the morning of the Sunday. And after the emo fight show, we went back to our hotel, got situated or whatever, got all of our stuff out. And then me and Charlie went and got some food, and then we went to Times Square at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And it was just so cool because it's like, and like I became really close with Starboy, like in and out of professional wrestling. It's like I love that kid so much, and I'm really hoping for a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
He's I talk to him like multiple times a week, and I've been hearing about his updates with his injury and whatnot, but just know Starboy's coming back soon. He's gonna come back better than ever, a whole nother fucking animal. Yeah, he's a beast. But I think Starboy is probably like my favorite. We kind of just go around, like I said, to like Times Square and just vibe, look at all this cool stuff we've never seen before, take pictures of everything, So yeah, Starboy honestly is probably like my favorite to go on like road trips and whatnot with. He's awesome.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So guys, that's going to wrap up this interview. And I'm sure Nick will come back in the future. You never know. Maybe I'll be backstage somewhere. We could have some backstage indie talk episodes with Nick, hopefully in the future. Hopefully, on the East Coast where, some of the promoters book him versus Marcus Matters for me. Hello,
Please,
cough, cough,
please.
cough. So I can get backstage and have that for the indie talks episodes. But Nick, you're welcome back anytime you want on this podcast. It's a pleasure. Like I said, we could keep going probably for hours and hours and hours, You're amazing. And like, I can't wait to see, 2022, what's going to happen in the future. I wish you the best of luck. Obviously I would come see you next week. Guys, go support him. Like, go say hi. Definitely watch the Hammerstein show next week, please. It's going to be really something special. So, Nick, thank you again for hanging out and talking with all our fans and getting to know you. And again, like, I'm looking forward. We'll have you come back another time. We'll talk some more stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to
absolutely.
everyone that dropped questions, whether it was in the chat or wherever. Thank you to anyone that tuned in, whether it was on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. I love all you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything. I hope to see you guys around wherever. And yeah, very nice to meet you guys. God bless you all. Thank you for everything. I love you guys.
Aw. So guys, yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. So make sure you hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed to Indie Wrestling Corner as well. Make sure you're following the Twitter as well to see all the updates for all the interviews and podcasts. Goldie's coming on Thursday, so make sure you check out that interview with me and him. I'm actually doing a panel next week for GCW, so with Queen and our friend Samster. So we're gonna talk everything Hammerstein next week. So with that being said, guys, stay safe, support independent wrestling, and then we'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
See y'all.